Shocking video that haunts me. Beware, don't watch. Listening to scary stories and watching videos about ghosts on social media was always harmless fun. It was a safe way to satiate my curiosity about otherworldly mysteries. At least, that's what I used to think. One day, a video called Shocking Video That Haunts Me appeared in my recommended videos. Although the sensationalistic title caused me to roll my eyes for a moment, my curiosity had gotten the better of me. If the video was truly shocking, and if it did provide compelling evidence of a real haunting, then I didn't want to miss it. While I thought that it was highly unlikely that the video would live up to the promise of the titillating title, I was afraid that I'd miss out if I didn't check it out. I clicked on the link. My life would never be the same again. It's astounding how such a seemingly small, simple, split-second act can have catastrophic, life-altering consequences. Something that I had done hundreds or thousands of times in the past had, on this occasion, manifested the unimaginable. Had I known then what I know now, I never would have clicked on that damned video. The video began in an ordinary way. The voice of a young woman explained how she had come across a video with the title, Shocking Video That Haunts Me. An eerie video loop of fog accompanied her as she told her story. She then described the appearance of the disturbing apparitions that she had seen in the video. As she described the ghosts, they appeared on the screen of my phone. As soon as I saw them, they creeped me out. Something about the images seemed unusual and unnatural. The video was creepier than I had expected it would be, but it certainly wasn't shocking. After I had finished watching it, I concluded that it had been clickbait, and that I'd forget all about it in no time. I then put on a video made by one of my favorite content creators. The video was an original science fiction story. About halfway through the episode, it happened. One of the creepy images from the earlier clickbait video appeared in the unrelated science fiction video that I was watching. A slight chill began to rise on my upper spine. Did I really see the same ghost from the earlier video in this new video? I rewound the video a minute back and then hit play. This time, there was no trace of the ghostly apparition. I figured that I must have imagined it. I didn't think any more of it. Later in the evening, I used my phone to surf through social media. Steve Gimble, a classmate, had posted a selfie of himself at the gym. That kind of thing always irritated me. It's fine if you work out, but do you have to broadcast the play-by-play to the world? I lift weights and play football, but I'm not narcissistic enough to think that sharing multiple pictures of myself would enrich the lives of anyone. Annoyed as I was, those were my thoughts at the time as I scrolled through my social media feed. That's when I saw it. I saw a creepy female ghost with long black hair that hid the features of her face. Yet again, it was an image from the video that I had watched earlier that day. Rubbing my eyes, I looked at the feed on my phone again. The disturbing, ghostly image remained. The image was where the cover picture for a fast food restaurant ad should have been. It was bizarre, and it didn't make any sense. There's no way that a fast food burger joint would be using a creepy ghost picture as part of their marketing campaign. We weren't anywhere near Halloween either. This happened in the beginning of May. I told myself that it must have been nothing more than a glitch with the software. Yet, there was a nagging concern and doubt in the back of my mind. This was the second time that a creepy image from the peculiar horror video had popped up since I had watched it. The next day, I was sitting in my history class taking notes on my tablet. The words on my writing app faded away, and they were replaced by the chilling image of the ghostly girl with long black hair that covered her face. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end. A cold chill went down my spine as my heart seemed to have dropped into the pit of my stomach. That's when it happened. The ghostly arm from the still picture moved until it penetrated through the tablet's screen. The ghastly arm had escaped from the confines of the screen. It reached for me. It tried to grasp me. I let out an involuntary scream as I jumped out of my chair. Filled with terror, I didn't think about my reaction. I merely reacted in the moment. A primal animal instinct had taken over. My teacher, along with my classmates, stared at me like I was crazy. They hadn't seen anything paranormal. The only thing that they perceived to be strange was my behavior and the pale look on my face. The teacher remarked, "You look like you've seen a ghost." After the adrenaline had subsided, the feeling of fear had been replaced by mortification. I must have looked like a raving madman. It was as though I could feel their thoughts of judgment and ridicule. The rest of my day at school passed without event, albeit the sheer terror that I had experienced had gravely shaken me. The lingering sense of dread remained. A nagging feeling of foreboding continued to lurk in the recesses of my mind. It was a sensation that I had never experienced before. Although it's difficult to adequately describe, it's something like the deep fear that you feel after having a particularly bad and vivid nightmare. Unlike the after effects of a nightmare, this ominous feeling didn't fade away. Not only that, but this couldn't have been a nightmare because I had been wide awake in the middle of class. If not a nightmare, then what could it have been? If it was a nightmare, then that would mean that I could no longer differentiate between dreams and reality. None of the potential explanations were comforting. Later that day, I returned to my house after school. Ghostly images from the video continued to surface. The chilling image of a lady in white appeared on my screen as I FaceTimed my friend, Christy. When I saw the creepy image, my heart beat faster. My body had instinctively detected a dangerous threat that my brain couldn't comprehend. It had been over 24 hours since I had watched that video, and too many bizarre things had happened to be coincidental. Prior to watching that video, I had never seen any of those ghostly images before. Then, within 24 hours of watching the video, I had seen the same ghostly images pop up in unexpected places. The ghostly arm that reached out of my tablet had been truly shocking. Something was going on. Whether it was something paranormal or the symptoms of a mind going mad, I did not know. Frankly, I was not sure which of the two possibilities is more terrifying. At 15 minutes past midnight, I was awakened in my bed by a spine-tingling voice. It was a female voice that had a sinister and unnatural tone. The phantom voice said, "Griffin, Griffin." You opened the link, and now we're here. Forever will you live in fear, unless you share your despair. The blood in my veins turned to ice. As my blood froze over, I instantly became paralyzed by fear. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. The only thing that I could manage to move were my eyes. In the darkness of night, my eyes frantically darted to and fro, searching for the source of the sinister voice. I found nothing apart from the twisted things in my imagination. It remained that way for what must have been 5 minutes. That's when the clouds in the sky parted and moonlight streamed into my bedroom. The melancholy light of the moon revealed a hideous, green, feminine, demonic face. I instantly remembered it as one of the faces from the infernal video. An overwhelming feeling of pure, oppressive evil weighed me down. The thick atmosphere was otherworldly. It was an unnatural and malignant presence. I wanted to flee from it as fast as I could, but I was paralyzed. Completely impotent, my heart pounded furiously as my eyes exploded in size. This unadulterated terror was unlike anything that I had ever experienced before. I thought it possible that, if this evil spirit didn't kill me, then I'd die of fright. Sometime after the evil phantom face departed, the paralysis wore off, and the unearthly atmosphere lightened some. I sat up and pulled the bedsheets up over my mouth, as though the light fabric was a protective shield. Shaking and trembling all over, I sat in my bed until the sun rose in the morning. The coming light of the sun seemed to warm the bitter chill that harassed me all throughout the night, while the light of the day lessened the fearful impacts of the dreadful night. It couldn't remove them entirely. A sickening sense of dread accompanied me that day and every day that followed. The ghastly images from the horrific video continued to appear where I'd least expect them to. I'd see the disturbing images when I texted my friends, used a tablet, watched movies, shows, or videos. Perhaps the most shocking repeating occurrence was when the ghostly images would come to life and jump out from the screen. As the frequency of those terrific events increased, so too did their potency. Each additional occurrence became ever more severe. It had escalated to the point that the ghostly images hadn't merely come to life and jumped out from the screen and into the room with me, but they proceeded to touch and attack me. On one occasion, the demonic being scratched my chest and left marks. On another occasion, the dreadful girl with the long black hair reached for my throat, grabbed it, and started to choke me. I gasped for air as I was being strangled. The level of fear that I felt was off of the charts. The fear didn't dissipate after the attack either. It couldn't have been my imagination because there were very real choke marks on my neck. My parents suspected that I was being bullied at school, and my teachers and classmates suspected that I was being physically abused by my parents. When I finally told my parents what was really going on, they didn't believe me. They made me an appointment with a psychologist. They feared that I may have been suffering from the onset of schizoaffective disorder. This lack of understanding hurt me, but what hurt the most was the fact that my family didn't believe me. I felt like I was a tiny island in an ocean whose horizon was darkened by a ferocious Category 5 hurricane. I felt like the dark, powerful, and relentless storm surge was going to drown me and sweep my dead body out to sea. The intense loneliness was eased only when I discovered that I wasn't alone. A girl from school had recently begun suffering from the same exact phenomena. Her name was Katie, and she too had watched the video. Katie loved scary stories and horror movies. She believed in the reality of ghosts, and her curiosity had gotten the better of her. When she saw a video with the title, "Shocking Video That Haunts Me," she couldn't resist clicking on it. Like me, she initially thought that the video was a bit unsettling, but not particularly remarkable. Then, within hours of watching the video, she began to see the images from the video in her social media feed, and then on her phone, tablet, and TV. Until we shared our traumatic experiences with each other, we had mistakenly thought that we were all alone. Katie and I had compared notes and shared our theories on what was going on. One thing that we agreed on was that this was a real manifestation of the spirit world. We knew that this wasn't a shared hallucination. The two of us believed that, if we didn't resolve this, we would go mad, become possessed, or be killed. We decided that we had to do something, and we were going to have to do it ourselves. Our parents, teachers, and doctors didn't believe us, and they had no clue about the hellish reality that now tormented us. We determined that, if we didn't find a way to stop this, I would be the first to fall to this evil. I had watched the video a week before she did. This was the reason that my experiences were more acute. Like a deadly disease, mine had spread further. My evil affliction was significantly more advanced. After long nights of discussion, we settled on a working theory to act upon. The video had to be the catalyst for all of our troubles. Instead of merely opening a link that led to a video, we had opened a link to the spirit world, and the spirit world was filled with ravenous dark entities. While we didn't understand exactly how watching a video could open up a door to the spirit world, it seemed obvious that's exactly what had happened. Really, the how of it wasn't important, so far as our purposes were concerned. What we were interested in, above all else, was survival. We wanted to stop the escalating horror. One significant thing that our experiences had in common was the message from our nightly evil visitor. The heart of the message was the same for each of us. On a nightly basis, the sinister voice said to us, "You opened the link, and now we're here. Forever will you live in fear, unless you share your despair." We concluded that these weren't just scary words meant to frighten us. It was a real message. We had just been too consumed by fear to think straight. The evil entity wants us to share our fear and despair. Like a virus, it wants to spread. It wants to invade other hosts. We think that this is the answer. At the end of the original video, the person said, "Share the shocking video, or risk being forever haunted by these sinister spirits." When I had originally watched the video, I thought that the threat at the end of the video had been little more than a desperate attempt to create a viral video. Now it seems clear that the video had been a desperate attempt to escape the evil by helping it go viral. Katie and I had shared the original video in the hopes that doing so would free us from this hell. The problem is that it didn't work. The hauntings continued, and they continued to grow more severe. Our despair deepened. Katie suggested that I make my own video detailing what I have experienced. She believed that since we had ignored the original warning and instruction of the video, that we had to go a step further to appease the powerful entities behind all of this suffering. This is the reason for the video that you're watching right now. Shocking Video That Haunts Me is the title for a reason, and I added the subtitle, Beware, Don't Watch, because I can't in good conscience publish this without a warning. Maybe I shouldn't have made this video at all. Perhaps it means that I'm a weak man. If you don't share this video, and if you then become haunted by the same vile spirits that have haunted me, maybe you too will be tempted to make a video just like this one. After weeks of sleepless nights and perpetual harassment by disembodied entities, you might be surprised by what you would be willing to do to make it stop. I hope that you enjoyed your stay here at the Haunted Half Moon Inn. The Master requests that you consider supporting me and the inn by becoming a a patron of mine on Patreon. The Half Moon Inn needs your support to keep the doors open. You wouldn't want the residents here to feel forgotten and abandoned, would you? Creating quality scary stories to share with you is very important to me. Running this inn of horror is a passion of mine, and I would truly appreciate your support. The world is hurting. It needs more horror. Help me to heal the world through horror. Together, with your help, we could haunt this world one home at a time. Until next time, always remember, just because you don't see them doesn't mean that they aren't there.